Welcome back to the channel, everybody. You see the M3's up on the quick jacks. Tires are off of it, and if you read the thumbnail, you know that I blew it up. Not really sure how. Well, actually, I do know how. The last Autocross event, we had some fun runs, so I took the M3 and had a couple spots where I could hit third gear. Normally you only stay in second, but went for third. Kind of felt like I missed the gate and bounced off. But that section was kind of small, so I just kind of let it coast, come around, got back in a second. When I went back to grid, basically the first half of the clutch felt like it wasn't doing anything. The bottom half of the clutch just was really hard, resistive, and I could not stop while in gear. The car would keep moving. So ended up having to bounce for the day. I did actually manage to drive it home an hour and a half with the clutch being like that. It was very interesting, but she did make it home. I'll show you here in a second what I found. I do apologize, guys. I have been cheating on you a little bit, working off camera. I just did some front brakes on it, put shock, fixed a wheel bearing. If you guys want to see that stuff, you know, I'm more than happy to make some, you know, shorter videos just showing some little stuff that I'm working on, so you guys keep up to date. But I'll do a quick overview here. I do already have the transmission out. While that's not a small job, you guys have seen me drop transmissions before. So I just went ahead and did that. I'm not sure if it's picking up on camera, but I am sweating like a stuck pig. It's not even 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I might have to turn my OnlyFans on, so you might hear some stuff in the background, trying to get some air to circulate in here. It is stymied, but it's Atlanta and it's the summer. So let's go ahead and get into it. So yeah, basically in the background, I had to put some new rotors on. Had to replace the hub here, put new pads and rotors on. The original rotors probably won't pick up on camera, but got lips the Kardashians would be jealous of. So it was time. I have a feeling those are probably the originals. The original struts were still on place. This car is an 02, has 117,000, I think, on it. So it was more than time. And thankfully, the flooded M3, if you remember from previous videos, if you haven't seen it, check it out. Had brand new socks, OEM struts on it. Swapped just the entire assembly. There, you know, all the bushings and bump stops, top hats were all replaced, so they were good to go. Swapped in the rears as well. The rear brakes are in good shape. I did do the rear trailing arms off of camera. Attempted to record that, but all you would hear was sensor beeps. So I decided not to do that. It was not a fun job. I have a project coming up that I can show you a little bit more in depth how that's done. So here's the front wheel bearing that I replaced. The bearing itself is totally fine. It's in good shape. I mean, when you pull these off, it pulls the inner race off, so you're seeing the ball bearings, but they're all in good shape. The issue was a couple of these, I mean, you already see it, but I'm trying to see the other one. Yeah, this hole here is pretty well boogered up. This one we were having troubles getting a lug stud into. I tried to tap it, and the tap broke off. Tried to get it out, wasn't happening. So I just said screw it, put a new OEM FHE wheel bearing in it, and we are good to go. Back to our clutch. So the main issue today. So as far as I can tell, this is the original clutch. 117,000 miles on it. I really can't complain. You know, when I pulled the transmission out, I got it over here. I really didn't see any, you know, big signs. I expect to see tons of clutch dust, material hanging out. It really wasn't until I pulled the pressure plate off. And you see a bunch of hot spots in it, but that's mostly for me trying to get home. Like I said, I most of the time I couldn't stop while in gear. And when I did, I'm sure it was slipping. So a lot of this is just very recent, but yeah, this is what I saw, and I don't know if you can tell by the way that it is, but that's not how it's supposed to be. My best guess is basically just wore enough that it wore this rivet out and got this friction disc material to come loose, and it's just absolutely insane that this stayed in place, didn't shred, didn't blow out, but it did actually spin on all the rivets. You see in the back where it was just riding through the rivets. And like I said, I can't believe I drove an hour and a half home like this. You can see a little better of that rivet. That's just gone. You got the BMW marking. Like I said, as far as I can tell, this is the original clutch. I don't have any thing that says otherwise. Here's another rivet that's just about gone through. That actually might have been the one that went the most. This one's getting pretty close. But the friction material itself, I mean, while it is low, I mean, I guess there are some spots here where it's it's getting pretty thin. So like I said, I think this is original. On the flywheel side, you know, again, some burns probably from getting it home. The dual mass is still actually really tight. I mean, look at, there's hardly any movement. I think it's just normal wear and tear. Then you throw in a few autocross runs on it, and she just gave up the ghost. So our solution, the Flood M3, the gift that keeps on giving. This was the clutch out of it. Had maybe 1,000 miles on it before the car got flooded. It's in perfect shape. I mean, ignore the fact that it looks like it's, you know, sat in a lake, because it literally did. This is just surface rust. I mean, that's not a big deal. But this, I'll just hit with a little wire wheel. There's just some markings from it sitting in the moisture, but it's in really good shape. This disc is perfect. It's an OEM luck clutch. Just in case you guys were unsure when you do these things, where it says, I'm going to butcher this, but Getriebesit, I don't speak German, even though I'm part German. That means gearbox side. So when you put this in, you want this facing the gearbox. And we'll show you that when we put it in. But again, it's in perfect shape. It's nice and tight. I mean, it's got a little movement, but not bad at all. Again, this was replaced. It's a Luck dual mass flywheel. We're going to put that in instead of going with some cheap aftermarket clutch, or, you know, breaking the bank on a performance clutch. This car is mostly just a fun cruiser. I'm not adding power to it. While I might take it on a fun run here and there, it's not going to beat. So an OEM clutch is going to be totally fine and make it very usable. And then we get into project creep. So while this would have been a free fix, there's always some while you're in theirs. And well, of course, this is a transmission mount. The mounts, I don't know if you can tell by the way that it is, but they have totally sheared off. Here's the shifter. We're going to actually rebuild the entire shifting assembly. We're going to put a new giubo on, or giubo if that's how you pronounce it. Got the new transmission mounts. I could not find OEM mounts. They were on a several week delay. So I went with these 03 Motorsports. They're a little stiffer than OEM, but not going to be too crazy. They shouldn't transmit too much NVH into the cabin. And you don't want this thing like super hard mounted anyways, and that's how you break stuff, break the ears off the transmission and whatnot. And then the bulk of the money. So all the little bits and bobs to rebuild the shifters assembly. We'll get into that. I got a new pivot pin for the clutch fork. We're going to put a new clutch fork in it too. Another shifter piece. We got the pilot bearing and the throwout bearing. So we got a little bit of work out of us today. A lot of it's going to be out of the car, which is nice. I don't have to be crawling on my back. But I think the first thing we need to do is get down here to the transmission. We're going to pull the shifter mechanism off. And while that's out of the way, we'll put a new giubo on there. You can see we've got some cracks starting in it, and we do not want that to propagate, cause other problems. And here's our sheared off transmission mounts. Gearbox itself is nice and dry. There's no leaks. And here it's kind of dark to see, but you've got the throwout bearing, clutch fork, the retainer. I forgot to buy a new spring, but this should be fine. So let me get you set up, and we'll start on this big. All right, you can see my OnlyFans is running in the background there. Apologize again for the noise, but she is hot out here. So to get this giubo off, so just get this stuff up out of the way. They're 18 millimeter nut and bolt. And 3, they're off. So again, you can kind of see some of the cracks starting in here. Definitely don't want this thing to come apart while we're driving. Oh, you see them even better on the backside. So probably going to be hard for you to see, but right down here is the date code. It is from 2002. Like I said, the car is a 2002, so this is original giubo. That's pretty insane that it lasted this long. But man, look at those cracks. Cracks in a plumber's convention. We see these little arrows. The arrows point to the flange. You see this one here is pointing forward, so we would mount that against the flange on the transmission. And then the one next to it that's pointing the other direction would and the one next to it pointing the other direction would point to the flange on the drive shaft itself, or prop shaft if you prefer. The bolts, they all go in from the back forward with the nuts towards the transmission side. I believe the Bentley actually has that wrong. There's really no way to put the bolt in the other way, so it can only go the one way. That's how it goes. Let me get the new one. We'll slap that on and we'll move on to the shifter. All right, so we're going to use a Phoebe Bilstein. This is still made in Germany. Here we see on the new one, it says made in Germany right on the bottom, so we know we got a good part. And we, again, are going to look for these arrows and point those towards the flange. And all these parts, guys, they're all from FCP Euro. It is the place to get parts for your Euro vehicle. Lifetime warranty on everything they sell. Fantastic customer service. Great fast shipping. I'm not sponsored by them. This is all out of my own pocket, but they are a fantastic place, and I've literally ordered tens of thousands of dollars in parts from them. Only a handful of times I've ever had an issue, and their live chat on their website is fantastic. You get right in touch with someone, and they fix the issue immediately. Check them out. I'll put a link in the description for all these parts and for FCP. Just want to get this all started, and then we'll torque her up. Alright, so I got my torque wrench set to 44 foot-pounds. It's just a cheap El Cheapo one. I'm actually kind of thinking about getting a digital one. If you guys have one that you recommend, let me know. Put it down in the comments. This one, it works fine. It's just a little difficult to read. Now, your torque spec on these will vary depending on what grade hardware that you have. These are the 10.9, so they go to 44 foot-pounds. Okay, we're good. Good there. And I already did that one, so we are good on torquage. So now we can work on this shifter assembly. All right, I'm just going to clean this up a little bit before we get going. Probably should have done that before we put the new giubo on, but it's fine. Ooh, that stuff's caked on there pretty good. Maybe I should just throw this thing in the cheek poker, although it might take the finish off. Starting to look brand new. Some of the crazy things have been moving down here from Buffalo, New York. No rust. Things just still look so brand new even after 23 years. So I'm just not used to it. Everything's always oxidized, looks like crap. All right, we'll touch that up a little bit more when we get it off. So basically we got a clip on this side, then this arm comes out, and then we're going to replace this end here. There's a bushing that's inside here that wears out and can give you some extra little floppage. And we don't want floppage in our shaft. We want it nice and firm. We're going to pull that up. There we go. So once we get this clip off, there's a pin in the center. You want to push that out and just make sure you catch it and you don't lose it, because that would be a very bad day. You see the little dowel pin that's in there, and now we just come right off. And clean up the end of that shaft. I have seen occasionally that this shifter shaft select seal will go bad. This one is nice and dry, so we're just going to let things be. So now we need to get this old bushing off, and you can actually see inside here that the bushing that's supposed to be in there is disintegrated. It's totally gone. So it's just a couple spring clips. Just pop those off real quick. There we go. Now you see that there is a, you'll see that there's actually a little spacer on here. The kit comes with new ones, so we want to replace those as well. There's one on each side. Again, we'll clean this up. So now we want to get the new bushing. You see here the bushing, and the old one's totally gone. So that's why we're replacing it. So this comes with this sleeve pushed off. We'll leave that off as we slide it on. Oh, it's going to be a little tough. Then we need to get this bushing back in. That fresh bushing makes it a bit tough. So we're about ready to put that selector rod shaft back in place. Now, you see on the old one, Really hard to see, but that's very flush with the side of this bushing. These protrude a little bit. They redesigned this so you don't need those yellow spacers, so we're gonna forget on that. Now just remember which way this goes. This curves down. Slide our new shaft in. You got kind of see there's no, if we put those two spacers in, there wouldn't be room to get the retaining clip in. Let's just slide into home. There we go. And we're locked into place. This is so much stiffer now. It's not going to be flopping all over the place. So on the back side, that's where the shift lever itself is going to come into play. So we would put two new the bushings, the yellow bushings, and a new clip on here. I'm going to leave it off just so that stuff's not flopping around when I go to stab this transmission back into place. Now we're going to work on the rest of this shifter assembly. We need to get what people lovingly call the bitch clip out, mostly because it is a bitch to do in the car. It's in there pretty good. So flip that up and out of the way, then she just slides right on out. We are going to replace that with a new one. Now the shifter arm comes out. We need to get this bushing out, and we're just going to kind of use some brute force. The screwdriver should do it. There we go. So there's still some old rubber in there. I'm going to go ahead and clean that out and clean this off. We want to replace this bushing as well. I'm not going to do that now again, so I'm not bumping it around when I put it in, getting in my way. And I'm going to leave the old one on so I remember its orientation and where it was. All right, we got it cleaned up, got the new bushing in. I just use a little spray silicone on it once it's clean, and the OEM bushing slides right into place. There is an aftermarket one, but it's much stiffer, and all the reviews say that they're just about impossible to get in. People are using bench vices, C-clamps, whatnot. Just a little spray silicone, this slid right into place. So now we want to get this back up here. Now we have our new bitch clip ready to go back in. We'll put it in the same orientation. And then she just folds right on over, snaps into place, and the shifter is rebuilt. Well, we still got to put the this bushing in and the bushing that holds the shifter in place. But other than that, it is ready to go. I think next, since we're right back here, we'll go ahead and replace these transmission mounts. They are just held in by a 13 mil nut. Oh. Just totally sheared off, so we definitely need to replace it. There's a little index tab right here. You want to make sure we get that lined up. Goes towards the back of the trans. Pointed up, here's the new one. We're going to set it in place in this position as well. Let's just break it. Gotta be kidding me. And it snapped. Fantastic. I got some spare used ones. I think that's what we'll just go grab for now. Alright, we got our bracket on with our repurposed transmission mounts. This is actually off that Flood M3 as well. So the back end is all ready to go. Like I said, I'll order the new bushings. When they come in, I can swap them out off cameras. I think we just move up to the front now. Alright, so we want to pull off our throat bearing and get on our clutch fork here. You can see after 20 plus years, these get pretty worn, and I have actually heard of some people wearing right through these, so it's probably fine. It's probably fine, but we're going to go ahead and replace it anyways. This pivot pin, this front, it's got some wear to it. It's not terrible, but we're in here. Let's do it. The easiest way to get this out is this actually goes all the way through, so we're just going to grab a drift and a hammer and punch that out. It can be in there pretty good, so we might have to take a couple different whacks at it, but once it starts going, there we go, and it's the boy. Alright, so we got our new plastic one here. There's all kinds of alternatives. There are some metal ones. Some people like those. I just like the plastic. It lasted 20 plus years. See no reason to upgrade. The metal ones can actually wear through the clutch fork that I've seen as well. So we're just going to hit this again with some silicone, help it slide through. We're going to drive it home with a socket on an extension. And you hear how the taps change. That means it's fully seated. I'm not going to go ahead and do a whole lot inside this bell housing cleaning it up. It's just going to get trashy. We just want to make sure that this input shaft side doesn't have any burrs or build up on it. I'll probably wire brush the end of this, just make sure it's nice and clean. But other than that, I'm going to grab the fork and the throwout bearing and let's do it to it. Alright, I know I said I was going to clean this up, but I just couldn't help myself. Just hit it with the wire brush, made a little bit of mess, and got the new clutch fork in, throwout bearings in, got our clip in place, so it is ready to go. Everything transmission side is ready to go back in, so we do need to go underneath. I have to get the pilot bearing out, and then we can start getting the flywheel in place and then stab this puppy back in. And it's probably going to be the worst part, is just getting the transmission back up and in. Oh, another top tip before you go to reinstall, this is the dowel pin for the starter. You want to clean this off. Make sure that is nice and clean. It will make putting the starter in an absolute bear otherwise. Let me go ahead and see about getting that pilot bearing out. Alright, so to get our pilot bearing out, this is our new one going in. We're going to try with this tool. This is the blind bearing puller. This is actually too big of a size. I've got the other one already set up. It basically just slides into the bearing. You tighten that down, spreads this end out, and then you can pull the bearing out with the use of the slide hammer attachment. So we're going to get into there, try that. I made an executive decision. So this is the flywheel out of the flood car. This is the one that was in this M3. As far as I can tell, is the original. But the plan was to use the flood car. Well, this doesn't have a ton of play. The old one has virtually none. I just wire wheeled this. Didn't get anything aggressive. It's not. There's no divots. There's nothing crazy. Just a wire wheel on a hand drill. Cleaned up the surface. It looks really good. There's no real deep heat marks, so I think we're good. This did clean up really well, all that surface rust, but I think we're going to just go ahead and use the original one. It seems in just fine shape. I had no issues, no noises with it before, and it's much tighter. The other thing I did real quick off camera, the flywheel bolts, I cleaned them up. They are not torque to yield. They're one-time use only because they require thread sealant. So these threads into the end of the crank go right into the crankcase, and you have to have thread sealer on it unless you like leaks. I mean, it's a BMW, they all leak oil anyway, but they need to be thread sealed. Just clean up the threads, put them in a cheek poker, new thread sealant like this, and you should be totally fine. I did that on my 330, zero issues. It's been years. Go ahead, get under, see if we can get that pilot bearing out. Alright, so you can see I got the tool in place here. Get the slide hammer up. Hopefully this works. There's a couple different ways to do this. You can pack it full of grease. You can use bread. I've done the bread trick before. It's a lot less messy than the grease. Hopefully she just comes out. Big dumb arm's gonna be in the way. Nope, this is too small. So it looks like we're gonna go the bread trick, I believe, because that's not gonna. Well, the other attachment is too big. That one's too small. So we are going for the good old Italian bread. The idea is you just keep stuffing it. Some people like to use moistened bread. As long as it's not too dry, it still works. This stuff's pretty fresh. The idea is just to take it and shove it in the hole. Some people like to moisten it. We're just going to shove it in dry. We'll just use a extension to get it in there. Sometimes you need some tools to get in the hole. Just hammer it in there. All right, well, we finally got some movement. I put a socket on it so it fit tighter and it's not pushing as much of the bread back out. All right, I keep saying we're almost there, but we really are. You see it's already poking out a bit. I think just a couple more little pieces and we should be there. It's just about ready to fall out. Oh, there we go. Yeah, nice. All right, now I gotta spend 20 minutes picking all this bread out of here. All right, got it all cleaned out. The new pilot bearing up in place. The old one's the thing we're changing. It's pretty stiff. It's not grindy or notchy or anything like that. I mean, it could be also we packed it full of bread. There's that one. That one turns really nice and free. When you're setting a bearing, you need to be careful of how you're pressing it in. So since this is not riding on a shaft right now, we want to press on the outside of the bearing. Because if we use this inner race to push the bearing in place, it could separate the bearing and vice versa. I just got a socket that's close. This works really well for the DI wire. Ow. Don't pinch your fingers. And then there's a hard stop for this to go, so you don't have to worry about depth. And you heard how the tap sound changed, and that's where we want to be. So we've got that all set. So yeah, I guess the next thing really is to put the flywheel up and in there. You'll see that one of them's got a dowel pin. We want to make sure we line the flywheel up with that dowel pin when we set it. I'm probably going to put 1 or 2 bolts in without the thread sealant so we can hold the flywheel up in place. And then I'll back those out, thread seal them, drive them back in. So it might be hard to see, but that upper hole for the flywheel is the one with the recess. So we're going to line that up with the dowel pin. And this thing is heavy, guys, so when you're doing this, be very careful. I think we got it. So I'm just going to start this one in just to keep the flywheel from falling on my face. Start thread sealing these things up. Hopefully my thread sealant's still good. Start them all by hand, and I'll run them in with the gun real quick. We're going to torque them. Final torque is 74 foot-pounds. We'll do it in stages. Just going to run them in real quick. We're going to use a zigzag pattern. And here I'm not going gung-ho on this. I just want to get them down, and then I'll do the rest with the torque wrench. That's 25. Suppose you could do a whole star pattern if you liked. Let's take this up to 60. $74. I forgot to hit record again for the 74, but I did go all the way around twice. Make sure this is set. We don't want these things coming loose. And next you'd think, okay, well, we're ready to put our clutch disc in and our pressure plate and then stab the trans back in. But you'd be wrong because, well, this is a dual mass flywheel and we need to reset the pressure plate. And I'll show you how to do that next. So this is the old pressure plate off the M3. These have a self-adjusting clutch, which uses this mechanism here. Basically, as the clutch wears, it'll continue to add some pressure to keep the same kind of clutch feel throughout the life of the clutch. So basically what we need to do is to compress the fingers while supporting the plate itself. And what I have it mounted on is just some sockets right where the normal bolt holes would be, where it attaches to the flywheel. We want to suspend it from there. Then a long bolt all the way through the center on the underside of my table here, and use a big washer so it can press those fingers down. Now, it's getting the fingers down isn't too big a deal. Just hold the wrench underneath and tighten her down. These are now out quite a bit, and we should be able to move them with a screwdriver here. See how it moves now, and basically we want to move it to the tightest position. Hold it there, and then release the pressure off the fingers, and these will stay clamped. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt to do with 2 hands. If you can somehow you can block your wrench from underneath, and then release the pressure off, that'll keep this engaged. So I'm going to try to do that. I want to compress the spring all the way as far as it'll go, then take the pressure off the fingers. And hopefully we don't lose our sock or our wrench on the bottom side. It did fall down, but our spring stayed engaged, so we should be okay. So now these springs are locked in place. These are set. The next time we depress the clutch, these springs will pop and self-adjust to whatever clutch is in there. So actually did go ahead and put the pressure plate and clutch disc in the car. That's ready to go. So the next step is stabbing that transmission back up and in. Well guys, we've got updates. We got a transmission that's in place. Got our slave cylinder in. Got our shifter all connected. Now with this bushing here, it is directional. If you don't remember where on the old one it was or how it faced, you didn't take pictures. On the bottom, there's an arrow to point forward. And on the inside, there's an arrow to point up. So that notch is up and to the back. That nipple there points forward. So it basically sits in the car like that. If we're looking at it level, it will not go into that bracket if it's faced the wrong way. We got our new bushing in place for the shifter, all connected. Our new giubo that we did on the ground, our new to us trans mounts. So pretty much I just need to get the drive shaft in, heat shield, and the muffler pipe back. From here, I'm just gonna slap the prop shaft back into place, get the heat shield up, the exhaust pipe on, and we can start her up, see how she does. Of course, we gotta get our interior back to place. There's a grommet that goes over that big hole, shifter boot and knob, and we are finished. All right, well, she started up. We got it all back together. I think it's time we took it out for a little ride. Just make sure that we do have gears first. Let's try forward. Yep, pedal feels good. Try backward. All right, let me get this out of the garage on the road and see how she's doing. All right, yes, we did just put new pads and rotors on. We do need to bed the brakes. Usually the way I do that is get up to about 20, 25. We got a little hill here. Then lightly brake down almost to a stop, but don't stop. And continue up, go to 30. Which might be a little hard in our neighborhood. And then come down to a stop again. Trans is shifting nice. Feels like a stock clutch, which it should, since that's what we're using. We're using the old Flywheel, the original one from 2002. We're going to repurpose that because that was in better shape than the one off the flood car. So, but we're using the flood pressure plate and friction disc. But it feels nice, shifting smooth throughout the gears. When I do the trans mounts, I'm going to do a fluid flush on the transmission as well. And the rear diff has been done, so we really shouldn't have to break in the clutch per se, since it is used, but it's a mismatched disc and flywheel, so I'm just going to take it kind of easy for a couple 100 miles. You know, we'll put some revs into it, but we're not going to clutch dump and do kind of crazy stuff with it. Feels good, brakes feel good. Also, remember I mentioned we put new struts and shocks all the way around. The car feels nice and tight. Rear trailing arm bushings are in. Get our little squirt here. Feels pretty good. I think that's going to do it, guys. Had a lot of work done on the old girl. It's much needed. Rear trailing arm bushings, front brakes pads, replaced the hub, all 4 shock struts with new mounts. That all came from the flood car. And I had to replace the clutch that had unexpected disassembly. So appreciate y'all watching. Make sure you smash that like and subscribe button. We got plenty more projects on the back burner. We got to get back on that Audi so we can get that finished up and out of here. 330 needs some attention, so stick around. Have a lot more stuff for you guys to watch. Thanks again.